before we get into that, can you go into your background a little bit and like how you brought this story to life?
Sure. As I mentioned, I did grow up in the Tidewater area mostly. However, my parents were not from that region. My mother grew up in Minnesota and
Okay.
my father grew up in California. And they moved to this small town in Southeast Virginia, which is a fictional town. In the book, the town is a conglomeration of several little towns in that region. My father was a minister, so we moved to that area when I was a very young child. Um, Lived there until I was about 7, then moved to Philadelphia for 5 strange years, and then we, for my father's job, moved back to that area, though, to Newport News, which is the larger region of Tidewater. So I have a very strong affinity to the place. However, my parents were outsiders, and they pointed out the racism that we saw around us. They made clear that it was bad and we were not to say racist things and we were just to be very careful. And they pointed out the very depressing shacks that the Black people had to live in, the separate water fountains. And indeed, one of my earliest childhood memories is of a Klan march.
Mm.
I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and I remember standing on the street with my mother, and here comes this parade of people in white robes and hoods, pointy hoods, and they're walking. And I remember feeling so confused because it seemed like it was a parade, and I thought parades were supposed to be fun and joyful, but this wasn't fun or joyful at all, obviously. No one around me seemed happy. The atmosphere was very tense. And as they came toward us, I do remember the sound of chains rattling. I recall that. And I remember my mother's hand tightening on mine, and she just looked very upset and very tense, but nothing was explained. So here comes this group past us, but obviously it was a very powerful memory. And over the years, so we left the area. She and my father split up. We all ended up living in the Midwest. So, and over the decades, she would occasionally say to me, "There were Klan members in your father's church." And I'm like, "Really? Duh." It took me a long time to realize that this might be something worth writing about. So it took me a long time to figure out this might be something to write about. And one thing that was very interesting for the book, I did talk to both of my parents and got a lot of really good details from them that are very authentic. So they're not
Mhm.
something I could find on the internet. The rest I found on the internet, but
Sure.
yeah. So the book is funny. It reads like a memoir, but it is completely fiction. Yet really the roots are autobiographical. It comes out of my own experience and my own family history and memories.